welcome back to our channel on this beautiful day. We are always thrilled to bring you the latest deep dives into the dramatic, ever-changing world of Port Charles. Thank you for joining us as we unpack the newest twists, turns, and shocking revelations that keep us all on the edge of our seats. Let us dive right into the heart of the action. As someone who has watched General Hospital for decades, I always find myself deeply invested when the writers decide to pull back the curtain on a new overarching mystery. Speaking to those of you who have been on this journey with me for years, you know exactly what I mean when I say that Port Charles is at its absolute best when the shadows of the underworld begin to creep into the daily lives of our favorite characters. Recently, the narrative has taken a fascinating and entirely gripping turn. I have been watching Sonny step into a very unexpected role, extending his protection and resources to help Ethan Lovett and Ava Jerome. This unlikely trio has completely captured my attention, and I cannot help but marvel at how the writers are weaving their disparate storylines into a unified, high-stakes narrative. Ava and Ethan are two characters who usually operate on completely different wavelengths, yet seeing them brought together under Sonny's protective umbrella feels like a masterstroke of dramatic tension. In watching Sonny help Ethan and Ava navigate their current perils, I have noticed a profound shift in the legendary mob boss. Sonny is not just reacting blindly to threats anymore, he is analyzing the board like a seasoned chess grandmaster. Through his efforts to shield them, Sonny has come to a chilling realization that there is a hidden, highly organized power operating behind the scenes of all the recent chaos. As a longtime viewer, I absolutely love this development. It reminds me of the classic slow burn mob storylines from the late 90s and early 2000s, where the true enemy was not immediately visible, but was felt in every dangerous encounter. Sonny's realization that these seemingly isolated incidents are actually connected by an invisible thread proves that his survival instincts are as sharp as ever. I find it incredibly satisfying to watch him piece together the puzzle, recognizing that a new war within the criminal underworld is not just a possibility, but an imminent reality poised to explode at any moment. This looming mob war feels distinctly different from the territorial disputes we have seen Sonny fight in the past. When we think back to his battles with the Zaccharas or the Jeromes, those were wars of attrition fought out in the open. However, this new conflict is shrouded in secrecy, which makes it infinitely more dangerous. The realization that a hidden force is pulling the strings changes the entire complexion of the show. I must commend the writers for this subtle adjustment in the narrative. They are moving away from the standard soap opera tropes and leaning heavily into a gritty, suspenseful thriller format. The stakes feel monumental because Sonny is not just fighting for his territory, he is fighting against an unknown entity that seems to know his every move. This kind of psychological warfare is exactly what keeps veteran viewers like us tuning in day after day, eager to see how our seasoned protagonist will outmaneuver a ghost. The central piece of this intricate puzzle revolves around the recent, highly dangerous actions carried out by Sidwell. For a while, Sidwell appeared to be acting as a rogue agent, a chaotic element causing destruction without a clear, cohesive endgame. However, I always suspected there was more to his sudden surge in aggression, and it seems Sonny has arrived at the exact same conclusion. Sonny has recognized that Sidwell is merely a symptom of a much larger disease. Sidwell's reckless and dangerous maneuvers were not the actions of a criminal mastermind, but rather the desperate, directed strikes of a pawn. Watching Sonny deduce that Sidwell is being commanded by a higher power is a testament to the rich character history the show has built over the decades. Sonny knows how the underworld operates. He knows that men like Sidwell do not suddenly become tactical geniuses overnight. There has to be a puppet master, and this realization is what makes the current storyline so incredibly compelling. This brings us to the mysterious figure known only as Z. When Sonny began to suspect that Z is the true architect behind Sidwell's dangerous actions, a shiver went down my spine. The introduction of Z as a shadowy antagonist is a brilliant narrative device. Who is Z? Is it someone from Sonny's past returning to exact a long overdue revenge, or is it a completely new player looking to dethrone the king of Port Charles? I often ask myself whether the show benefits more from recycling legacy villains or introducing fresh blood. In this case, I strongly believe that for this storyline to reach its maximum potential, Z needs to be someone with deep historical ties to Port Charles. We, as longtime fans, appreciate when a storyline rewards our decades of loyalty by connecting current events to the rich tapestry of the show's past. If Z turns out to be a ghost from the past, the emotional impact of this impending war will be magnified tenfold. The danger that Z poses to Sonny is entirely unprecedented. By using Sidwell to execute these dangerous actions, Z has managed to strike at Sonny indirectly, testing his defenses and probing for weaknesses without ever stepping into the light. I find this strategy utterly fascinating. It forces Sonny to fight a war on multiple fronts, dealing with the immediate physical threats posed by Sidwell, while simultaneously trying to unmask the true mastermind. The new dangers that Sonny is facing are not just physical. They are deeply psychological. Z is playing a game of intimidation, and it is a game that is pushing Sonny to his absolute limits. I must admit, there are times when I question whether Sonny can handle this level of sophisticated warfare, especially given the personal turmoil he constantly endures. Yet time and time again, he proves why he has survived in this brutal business for so long. The alliance between Sonny, Ethan, and Ava is perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this entire saga. On paper, these three should not be working together. Ava has a long, fraught, and often violent history with Sonny, while Ethan brings an unpredictable, roguish energy that usually clashes with Sonny's demand for absolute control. However, necessity makes for strange bedfellows. I am thoroughly enjoying watching this dynamic unfold. Ava's cunning intellect and deep understanding of the criminal mindset make her an invaluable asset, while Ethan's resourcefulness and street smarts provide a different kind of tactical advantage. Together, they form a formidable barrier against the new troubles that Z is orchestrating. It is a brilliant pivot by the writers, taking characters who have often been at odds and uniting them against a common, overwhelming enemy. This kind of character development is what makes General Hospital a masterclass in serialized storytelling. As the story continues to shift and evolve, the magnitude of the new trouble becomes increasingly apparent. The narrative is actively demonstrating that the stakes are rising exponentially. The adjustments in the storyline, particularly the focus on this hidden power structure, prove that the writers are committed to delivering a complex, multi-layered mystery. I deeply appreciate this approach. It respects the intelligence of the audience, particularly those of us who have spent years analyzing the subtle cues and foreshadowing that the show is famous for. The new shockwaves rippling through Port Charles are a direct result of Z's machinations, and the tension is building to an almost unbearable level. Every episode feels like a ticking time bomb, and I find myself constantly theorizing about what Z's next move will be and how Sonny will counter it. Sonny's readiness to face this new threat head-on is the emotional core of the current storyline. He is not shrinking away from the danger. Instead, he is actively preparing for a massive showdown with Z. This is the Sonny Corinthos we have known and loved for years, the fierce protector, the uncompromising warrior who will go to any lengths to defend his territory and those he has chosen to shield. Watching him gear up for this confrontation is incredibly exhilarating. I can see the determination in his eyes, the cold, calculating focus that precedes a major conflict. I believe the writers are doing a phenomenal job of showcasing his evolution. He is relying on his experience, his instincts, and his newly formed alliance with Ethan and Ava to build a fortress against the impending storm. The anticipation of this showdown is the driving force of the show right now, and it is executing flawlessly. However, I must express a slight concern as a critical viewer. While the build-up has been spectacular, the writers must be careful not to drag the mystery of Z out for too long. There is a delicate balance between building suspense and frustrating the audience. We have seen storylines in the past where the reveal of a mastermind was delayed so much that the eventual unmasking lost its impact. I genuinely hope they avoid that pitfall here. The explosive new dangers that Sonny is facing demand a timely and satisfying resolution. The narrative momentum is currently at its peak, and the eventual confrontation between Sonny and Z needs to deliver on the massive promises that the recent episodes have made. If the writers can maintain this pacing and deliver a shocking, logical reveal regarding Z's identity, this storyline could easily go down as one of the greatest in General Hospital history. The collateral damage of this looming war is another aspect that keeps me deeply invested. When Sonny goes to war, the entire town of Port Charles feels the tremors. With Ethan and Ava now directly in the line of fire, the potential for heartbreak and tragedy is immense. I find myself worrying about their safety, knowing that Z will likely use anyone close to Sonny as leverage. This adds a profound layer of emotional weight to the explosive action. It is not just about who controls the docks or the underworld. It is about survival, loyalty, and the heavy price of living a life shrouded in violence. As older fans, we have witnessed the devastating toll these wars take on families and loved ones, and this historical context makes the current storyline resonate on a much deeper, more poignant level. In conclusion, the current trajectory of General Hospital is an absolute triumph of mob drama and character study. Sonny's realization of a hidden power, his suspicions about Z controlling Sidwell, and his alliance with Ethan and Ava have created a perfect storm of suspense and action. The story is changing, proving that new, unprecedented troubles are on the horizon, and the shock value is only going to increase. As a lifelong fan and a dedicated critic of the show, I am completely captivated by Sonny's preparations for what promises to be an explosive showdown with Z. The danger is real, the stakes have never been higher, and I cannot wait to see how our beloved characters navigate this treacherous new landscape. It is a thrilling time to be a General Hospital viewer, and I look forward to analyzing every single detail of this impending war with all of you.